Hello and welcome to Crosscourt. This is a dodgeball-centric podcast, almost exclusively dodgeball, barring some sort of end-of-the-world incident that occurs during the recording of one of our fine shows in the future. I'm looking down the road. If that does happen, this will turn into a survivalist podcast where I'll just keep talking and documenting the end of the world. Who am I? I'm Travis. I will be your host for every episode in the future. I assume I'm hoping to bring in a bunch of guests as well to talk dodgeball with me. I've got a little schedule. What's on the show today? First, I'm going to introduce myself, introduce what I'm doing, what I'm covering, and why there's actually people out there who I think would like to hear me talk about dodgeball on a weekly basis. I'm going to throw down the 5 W's of Crosscourt. It's something I've actually been put onto by Carmen. He used the 5 W's today, and I thought they were pretty snazzy. My big ideas, sort of the focus for the show, some, ambitious projects we can look into in the future. I'm going to go through a little season preview. Warning on that one. The season's still early, but hey, that's a preview, so you'll forgive me if I get all my predictions, which I'll also do, completely wrong. I'll make bold predictions, though. Maybe some of them will come true. We'll look back on these in the future, and maybe, just maybe, I'll hit one or two of them out of the park. I'm going to talk about my teams. I'm just playing 2 nights a week this season. That's all I can handle in my old age. We're going to go look into some of the prospective rules changes that were not put in place this year. Maybe talk a little bit about why they weren't put in place and maybe what I would like to see in the future. Who knows? And then finally, I'm leaving this to last because it's late and I don't think I'm going to get any questions. I kind of just threw this out there. This is a little spontaneous. It'll be Ask Crosscourt. So, hey, you can ask me any questions. There's still time. You can hit us up. Or me up specifically, as I'm all alone today, on Twitter at Crosscourt Live. That's Crosscourt Live. Or on Gmail at crossthedamncourt.com. Crossthedamncourt@gmail.com. I should say both of those I will respond to. I'll read your emails. I'll talk about them on air. Maybe I'll talk about you on air. That is if you're a dodgeball player. And I know you. Okay, so firstly, I'm Travis. I've played with the VDL since its inception. Well, I guess it's inception season 1 rather than... Oh, that was my dog. You might have heard her. Since its inception in season 1, I've been playing every season. A lot of the times started playing multiple nights in season 3. Season 1, I was the Dodgeball Busters. Season 2, Dodgeball Busters. Season 3, I also threw in Love Juice, but no more Dodgeball Busters. Love Hate, 8-bit, Strange Bedfellows. Oh Christ! Somewhere along the way, I played in the CDL with. We were the Family Friends with Healthy Alternatives. Probably to date one of my favorite jerseys ever, just because they were cheap for 1. They made me feel pretty cool because they had a collar for 2, and finally it was just a snazzy design. If you're not intimately familiar with the Canada Health Guide, the food pyramid, I'm not sure if it's still a pyramid. I think they may have evolved a little bit into a circular plate. The last time I was checking out my food guide to make sure I was eating a balanced diet. That's what it was. Check it out. It was kind of cool. Maybe you want to put it on your own shirt. Ask Matt Hung. He can make it happen. So that's me. Currently this season I am playing on 8-bit, not to be mistaken with 8-bit, not to be mistaken with love-hate relationship, but 8-bit. And on Wednesday night I'm playing with the Mascots, which is kind of just a good excuse to wear costumes year-round. Onto the VDL. What is the VDL? If you're not aware, you can just head on over to vdldodgeball.ca right now and check it out. It is the Vancouver Dodgeball League. It's the biggest non-profit dodgeball league, as far as we know, in the universe. It's fucking massive. There's over 170 teams. It sells out all the time. It's totally run by volunteers. It's just this ridiculous labor of love. I could actually go, if you wanted to, maybe I'll do this one time, walk up my street and wake up the founders, the Bow Brothers. They're absolute visionaries, and just they possess this absurd positivity and can-do attitude and ambition and passion that you sort of wish you had, but you don't necessarily find in yourself all the times, especially if you're this podcast runner right now. But hey, lucky me, I'm a part of it right now. I'm playing on Wednesday and Thursday nights, and so should you if you're not playing in Season 14 right now, and you probably are if you're listening to this thing. I say, what the fuck's wrong with you? Go play some dodgeball. Get your friends. I guarantee it's going to be a blast. If you had traumatic issues with it back in the school days, this is better. This is nowhere like that. There's hard throws, yeah, but everyone's having a blast. Everyone out there is having fun, and there's no teachers, too. It's not just a recess game. It's not just a lunch game. It's not just a PE game. Dodgeball is an all-the-time game, as a lot of people are proving. Monday through Thursday nights. So that's a VDL. We're primarily based in East Vancouver schools. At the moment, East Vancouver is best Vancouver. At least my opinion. The 5 W's. Who, what, where, why, and when. In relation to Crosscourt, the podcast. So, who is going to be specifically me? That will be your pillar. I will hold this thing up. I will drag it along through the mud. There will be tears. There will be angst. There will be anger. But hopefully there will be a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. Maybe something you can listen to as it suits you. We live in a fantastic, sexy, beautiful, technological world, and I don't understand any of it. But hey, again, I'm here along for the ride, so why not? It's going to be a dodgeball-centric podcast. We'll sneak other stuff in occasionally, but only as it comes up on the fly. I'm going to keep it mainly related to the VDL because that's what I know. I'm going to talk about what I know. If I don't know a dodgeball league, why would I talk about it? I can't give you anything that you don't already know about that. Maybe I'll talk a little CDL, but my CDL riffs will usually be quick and funny and, low blows, generally. Sorry, CDL. I love you guys. Where? Currently, I am operating out of a basement. I've got a TV near me. I've got 2 monitors. I've got all the tabs up for the respective standings. Hey, I've even got some secret insider info on who's playing on what team to help me out here. So I've got my resources. Why I'm doing it is because I brought it up one time at a exec get-together, a little meeting before this Season 14 started, and everyone seemed so passionate about it. I kind of threw it out right before the meeting was ending that I was thinking about doing something like this. It was, kind of just a little hope, but the response was so overwhelmingly positive, and people just, I saw in everybody else the weird passion for sitting around for, 1 to 2 hours every so often and just riffing on a subject. Hardcore. And so I decided to go through with it, even though I don't have any guests lined up for today unless someone miraculously appears down here with me tonight. The only person I can see ever doing that would be Cooper, but luckily he's locked up on a farm right now. And again, I'm also really into some gaming scenes, like StarCraft, especially right now. I'm getting into Dota pretty hardcore too, and they do this as well. So, if you can talk about computer games for 2 hours a week and just have these people going crazy for it, having a real interest there around it, why the fuck not? There's probably, 300 hours of sports programming on the air just locally every day from the various radio stations and TV stations, and hey, if they can find stuff to talk about, I say why not us, man. Sports talk is not reserved for the elite athletes, despite what we see around us right now. I'll try and make this as regular as possible. I suggest checking out the Crosscourt Live Twitter account. Maybe I probably won't do a Facebook page. Those are tedious and they'll just steal all your information, my information. I want to keep us nice and sacred. Check me out on Twitter, by and large. I'm a big Twitter guy. I'll keep you posted 2 days in advance. Who knows? Maybe we'll get something a little more concrete, especially when it comes to scheduling guests and the like there. Big ideas that I may have for the season. Firstly, guests aplenty. I probably won't bring them on if I don't think I have anything I can get out of them. If they're just, I'm not just going to bring on players that, maybe want to sit around and talk for a little while. I'll bring people on that I think are worthwhile, that have some sort of unique insight to the game, huge money players that have played on a whole bunch of different teams, different championships, sort of special points in dodgeball history, or in dodgeball future, up-and-comers. Hey, shit, maybe I'll bring on a whole team one time and we'll just talk it out. Also, if I run out of stuff to talk within the season, say if we're in the doldrums of season 7, season 8, and people just really want to get to playoffs, I'll do a little Crosscourt Presents feature. It'll almost be like Masterpiece Theater in the sense that I'll try to, maybe I can pre-do some interviews, do them on air with old winning teams and just talk about dodgeball at that time for them. Specifically, like my home run for that would probably be Hate Sauce. If there was any way I could get Hate Sauce on and talking about dodgeball, that would be a freaking blast. But at the same time, trying to get a good sound clip out of Chris Tongue might be like trying to get a Stone to sing opera, or something like that. I just don't know how down he would be for that. Maybe if we got him drunk first. Maybe if I could blackmail him or something. I don't know. I'll kidnap Joe. All things I could do to get Hate Sauce on air. If you're unaware why I would be interested in getting Hate Sauce in, I'll go ahead and give you a little history. Hate Sauce won. They were the first multi-time champions. I believe they had a 5 in a row. If it wasn't a 4-peat, if it wasn't a 5-peat, it was a 4-peat. And Hate Sauce, in my mind, I think everyone still romanticizes them a bit, but they were really that good. They had the season wins record for the longest time until they were beat by Lords of Dodgetown, until they were beat by Woot Woot. Both teams I think I played on. But that was, things had changed a little bit. It was probably easier to break it at the time when we did it. I say that because Hate Sauce was fucking amazing. They were initially Brian, Ian, Chris, Camille, and then Mel and Jenny. Eventually Camille, went to travel around the world, and Nelson came in, and they were still freaking awesome. Nelson came over from ACMY. If you know whether or not Nelson was initially an ACMYer or somewhere else before he came to Hate Sauce, let me know. I'm mildly interested in that. Either way, these guys were absolutely phenomenal. They were playing dodgeball back then in a similar way to it was being played now. So like season 1, they were they were throwing together, they were catching like absolute terrors on the court, and they were just basically scaring the shit out of everybody they ever played against, because at that time it was not tiered. Dodgeball was not tiered, and so if you were team 32, because I think it was a 16 team league, 32 team league, etc., it expanded all the time, and so the gap widened, and Hate Sauce would just mow and respectively eat everybody on the courts. But that was Hate Sauce. I'll save the rest of my fawning for Hate Sauce for another time. There'll be plenty of time to fawn over Hate Sauce. It's still, in my opinion, the best team to ever play dodgeball. Season preview. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about season 14. Hopefully you had an awesome summer. I did. I really love my off seasons. I treasure them. Any second I can get away from dodgeball to just heal my arm up is at this moment a blessing. I'll go ahead and start with the nights I don't play on, which are Monday and Tuesday. I do know Tuesday pretty well because I've played on it and previously ran Tuesday as well. Before I go into the season previews, before I go into talking about current players, I need to say this. Crosscourt Live Twitter, crossthedamncourt@gmail.com. None of this is in any way endorsed or affiliated with VDL. I merely play there. I am an exec as well, but this is entirely separate from any exec duties I do. If VDL were to want to sponsor my podcast or link it or some of that other stuff, I would probably at this time have to say no. Just for the sheer fact that I don't want VDL to have to take any shit for anything I say. People that may know me around the courts, around the gyms, I can be fairly candid at times, and I want to keep that tone, by and large, when I'm doing this podcast. I will talk freely about players. If for some reason I make a scathing criticism of play, or a player for some reason, I'm going to probably limit any personal judgments until I get well rooted into this podcast thing. Remember, again, it's just dodgeball. I'm trying to find stuff to talk about here. There's lots to talk about. But if I have to pussyfoot around too much stuff, it's going to be a fairly neutered show, and there's not going to be any sort of interesting insight, I don't think. If for some reason you really don't want to be talked about here, that's fine. Let me know. I'll steer it away. I won't talk about any of your teams. That's not true. Fuck that. I'm going to talk about your teams. Regardless, I'll talk about you still. I'll talk about you more. That's, malicious, but fuck it. It's a Dodgeball podcast. Remember, there's probably only 10 people listening to this at any given time. And, if I'm hard on you, it's only because I've been 1,000 times worse in the past. I widely regard myself as one of the worst players getting by in Tier 1. I get by on my caddy play. I've got a mind like a trash lemur. And yeah. I'm better at putting teams together and running teams than I am at actually playing the game. Everyone's getting younger. They're throwing faster. They're catching way better than I could ever hope to catch. Hey, who knows? Maybe one day I'll catch back up, man. I'm only 24. Fuck, look at Trung. Trung skunked everybody last year in the playoffs on Thursday nights, and I don't know how old Trung is. He's not that old. Trung 25 tops, in my opinion. Okay. Onwards to Monday, so that's me. Remember, not VDL affiliated here. Crosscourt is Crosscourt. Don't whine at HR. Lisa and them don't need that. Okie dokie. So, also, for the time being, I'm probably only going to talk about Tier 1. I don't know Tier 2. That's, if there's one thing I dislike about the league right now, and it's sort of an incurable thing, it's that even old Travis as an exec doesn't know anyone in Tier 2 and 3. I may lightly know them. I may know them in passing, but it requires sort of a real effort on everyone's part to sort of commingle now that the league's so big. Whereas if I was doing this show, season 1 or 2 with 16 teams, yes, there'd be a lot less content, but it would be so refined. Like, I know everybody, we know all the teams, we know all the players. It wouldn't be the same. This would never happen back then. But, this is me apologizing to Tier 2 and 3 by and large, because I don't know you. Maybe one thing I have been planning is that I've heard Carlton is now an amazing gym. It's just super nice. And it's also, 2 minutes from my house. On certain nights I don't play, if I think there's teams that are going to give me a good, entertaining hour and a half of dodgeball, because I do have time sometimes, I'll sneak up there, watch the night just to get a feel on how things are going. Probably more and more as the playoffs, creep up on us. Just to spread my feelers. This is Crosscourt, the Dodgeball podcast, not Crosscourt, the Wednesday, Thursday Dodgeball podcast. So, predictions for Monday night, whatever team Shane is on. That being said, I don't think Shane is on a Monday Night Dodgeball team. It's a good rule in general. If you don't know who's going to win the night, just pick the team that Shane's on. I don't think he is the... who am I looking for? I don't think he's the Clark Kent of Dodgeball necessarily. I just think that teams that pick up Shane or sort of build around Shane are already really well developed teams. Like, Shane doesn't generally go make a team on his own. Shane's an awesome player and doesn't need to fucking make teams. He doesn't need more medals. So a team that's already really good and has these, fucking solid young guys playing on it will be like, hey, we need a player who's going to be really clutch. I don't talk about Shane as really clutch. Like, he is, but I think Shane's biggest strength is that, it can be 6-on-6 start of the game or 6-on-1. Or 1-on-1 at that, and Shane's always going to play extremely consistently, and his consistency is generally extremely strong. He's very slight, which makes up for his occasional lack in defense. Like, he's a really good blocker. He'll never be the world's most amazing catcher, because the catchers are so fucking good right now. I was playing tonight and Carolyn was there, and oh god, Carolyn. Once we learn how to take brains out of people and I don't use them for things, I'm gonna try to take Carolyn's brain. or at least her catchy fingers, because she's very, very good. Who else was out there tonight looking really, really good? Deb in her Gumby suit was making catches while she couldn't see. I think that's a skill. But back to Monday night, I see currently with 13 wins is Cat City Itch. I have no idea who they are. Apologies, Cat City Itch. I'll go ahead and look at your first week schedule to see if those 13 wins were, against some team like the Dynamic Duos, or maybe you just had a nice, easy first week. I don't know. You had Balmy maybe. One of these days, Revolution. Revolution is an old team. John's on that team. They've been around for a long time. Good team, Cat City Itch. Maybe they awesome. It's possible. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my secret little page of people. It's not a secret. It's nothing special. If you do happen to have a sheet that just has every team on it and all the players, send it my way. I'd really like one of those. I'm looking at you, VDL people. Let's see. Cat City Itch. That is a Angie run team. Angie, Justin too. Ooh, damn. That could be a very nice team. Potentially. I don't know. But yeah, so Cat City Itch could be extremely solid on Monday night. Balmy Maybe is already, I've only seen like 4 team names so far this season, but Balmy Maybe is probably on the list for my favorite team name around. Huge Carly Rae Jepsen fan here. Just massive fan. Also because Big Sausage Pizza is no longer a team, I don't think. Unfortunately. Sorry, Lisa. Your team name was great. Whatever it is now is just nowhere near Big Sausage Pizza levels. Really good team name. Don't Google it unless you're alone. One of these days, PKing Ducks. I'm going to go back to the standings for Monday night. The Lantern Corps. Ooh, I like the name. The name's provocative, but I don't know what it means. It doesn't look like they've got any execs regged on the team, so I can't comment on them at this time. Sorry, Cat City and Lantern Corps don't really know anything at all about you. Dodgenamic Duos is one of my favorite teams to watch. I think they've won once on one night. They haven't always been a Monday night team. They used to play Thursday nights. If you're unfamiliar with the Dodgenamic Duos team concept, it is Carson, Carson, Donald, by and large, and then sort of a rotating cast of old Power Rangers, Wonder Bangers. I don't know if they're necessarily the Wonder Bangers on the team, but they're pretty sweet. Whatever team Carson plays on, he's always going to be the highlight. Carson is just unbelievable. He's unreal. He's a very, very good player. Is he quiet? I think Carson's a little quiet. If Carson was louder and talked to, he's on a lot of teams now, I shouldn't say that. He is going to continue to slay VDL for a long time. Carson Haw, Colleen Haw's little brother. I didn't know that for the longest time, because, I don't necessarily look at people's last names, and just because they're the same, assume that they're related. Unless it was like some obscure name like, I was going to say Kazanskis, but that's, is that too soon? I don't know. Anyways, so Amazon just emailed me to tell me that there's a new J.K. Rowling book out. That's very interesting. But off topic. We're not going to talk about that. More teams for Monday night. I see Jeff Tan has a team with Vic. Always going to be good. Pork. Ooh, it's Pork. If you're unfamiliar with Pork, Pork came over from the CDL quite a few years ago. That is a Sean Chow operation. Seabell sometimes rocks around on the team. Mark Williams on occasion, but Pork is awesome. Pork is a lot of fun. If you're going to play them, you're probably going to have a really good night too, because they're awesome people. Ellie has got a team Samuel Jackson with KWoo. I guess that's a cool name. I like Sam Jackson. The Dodge Fathers with Ryan Funk. Matt Kramer has a team with Bax, Claudia, and Jeff Kelly. It's one of the wider teams, by and large. I love Kramer. Well, I'm going to go ahead and keep saying Kramer just in case. Bax, great player. Slightly less hair. Always well dressed, Baxter. I like that about him. Claudia too. Just fucking killer arm. Jeff Kelly. One of the more entertaining guys ever. Also great player. Ready to bust it. I think Jeff Kelly and Matt, respectively, are like, they're the next dynamic duo of VDL. Potentially. Yeah, I'm going to close it down for Mondays. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make a bold prediction. I'm going to say Dodge Dynamic Duos can win Monday. Followed by a second place. I want to say Lululemon, just because Victor is absolutely unreal, and I think he could carry a team to victory. Leslie as well. Also really good. I don't know what other girls we play on that team. So I'm not going to guess any further. Who do I love from Tier 2 here? Dodge It Like It's Hot. If they're the same Dodge It Like It's Hot from before, is going to win that tier if they don't get bumped up. Hopefully they don't sandbag, which is a weird thing that occasionally happens right before playoffs start. Teams that could sort of hang in Tier 1 will just play Tier 2, and so the Tier 2 and 3 finals, because it gets split again, the Tier 3 finals end up looking real good. Like, these teams could probably hang in Tier 2, but instead they're going to have a pretty epic battle down in Tier 3. Just what I see happening. I don't know. There's nothing we can really do about sandbagging unless they're just visibly jumping over the line and whatnot. I say we as me, of course. But hey, that's what they want to do, right? Dodgeball's a fun game. No one's holding a gun to your head and saying, be competitive. And if they are, one, weird. Two, call the cops. Moving on. Let's go to Tuesday. Sorry, Monday. Tuesday, let's check out your standings on Tuesday. Strangers with Candy. If it's the rehash of the old CDL, like three-peat winner, Strangers with Candy, I think they only had two, actually. The team would be Brandon, Sean Rogan, a rotating cast of girls, but possibly like an Ellie, Sarita. Well, Sarita's gone, so it won't be Sarita. So it's probably just all over the place. Hopefully they got E-Man, the King Jinko, out on the court, because he is a blast to watch. On certain nights you can see him rolling around in Tier 2 and Tier 3 and just being a fucking menace on the line because he's, he shouldn't be playing Tier 2 or Tier 3. He's a good player. Jinko. Ninjas in my cereal. I think that's Linda's team. I remember them in turtle costumes from last year. I don't know anyone else on the team. I do. She's the other girl from Lululemon that I can't place a name on. Like Leslie, mildly short. Serena. I want to say Serena. It doesn't matter right now. Good team. Maybe. I don't hang around Tuesday enough yet. But Linda is absolutely unreal. And I'm not just saying that because she beat me on a showdown tonight and caught a bunch of my balls. Expend balls, don't know them, sorry. Wonder Bang, always a good team. Chris Chan appears to be throwing a little harder this season. Maybe his arm's getting up to speed. Maybe he's spending a lot of time bench pressing stuff. Weights, boxes, perhaps Amy. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Furious Jorge. Sorry, the little dodgeball team that could. I am presently unaware of who you are. Unless... Ooh. Oh, fuck. Oh, God. Okay, never mind. That team is Vic, Matt Ho, Mikey, Justin, and Rob. That is a really good team. Depending on who they fill for the girl slot, it doesn't really matter. They're going to be absolutely insane. Who else is on the hunt? Strangers with Candy is Kyle, Brandon, and Al, plus a cast of others. Also a really good team. I love all those guys and the way they play. Brandon currently sort of in arm troubles a little bit. His shoulder, I think it's his forearm actually, is hurting him just a bit, so he's not really able to throw as hard as he usually can, but that doesn't stop the Brandon Wen defense. I've said this to many people, and I maintain that if you're throwing balls at Brandon, you're really just wasting your time. You're giving balls away. Ball possession is so freaking crucial, and to sort of just toss him up at the line, because generally he doesn't hang out right in the middle of the court either. He's off to a side near a ref, so when he's blocking, it sort of gets trapped in ref feet, and it will eventually get filtered back to his player, so you're just turning balls over and you're never getting him out. The rules are different if you're Victor, if you're Billy, if you're Coop, say. If you're someone who can do that penetrating throw and actually get him out, then sure, you know what, fantastic, you got Brandon out. That being said, I would probably make sure a weaker player is off to the side first if you can, just because you don't want one of his awesome catchers, as usually fill up Brandon Wen teams, really good catchers as well, just bringing them back in for you have to do that all over again. What a waste. Hong Kong Gangster featuring Billy, Queenie, Grace. Awesome team. Billy, maybe he can do it alone. I'm kind of looking at sort of skeletons of the roster here, so I can't say whether or not it would be a fully filled out and dirty ass team. Team Fattress 2 featuring Pete, Jude, Jeet, and Fat. Could be really good. I love those guys a lot. It's nice to see Fat sort of re-entering Tier 1. He's been away. He's been playing with the FPS, the Fluffy Pink Sheep, etc. Work teams, friend teams, and he hasn't really been ever since DDR went away. He hasn't been around. At least that's my feeling. Trung's on the Stonecutters now? Damn. Furious Jorge featuring Angie and Daniel, always a good team as well. I'm going to go ahead and say Tuesday night will go to... It's a tough call. But I think the little Dodgeball team that could definitely take this. They're just so... Like, Mikey's a terror. Justin, Rob, Matt, all absolute monsters. Vic is the most intimidating female to play against. Maybe bar Carolyn, but that's because I never play against Carolyn, because I always put her on my teams. She's the best to play against. I'm almost reaching my quota of fawning over Carolyn. I'll try to curb it, but I can't promise anything. That's Tuesday. I will go ahead and say little Dodgeball team that could just barely over Strangers with Candy. But hey, who knows? That's why we play the games, right? Wednesday. This is where we're thinking up. Wednesday is a slightly smaller night. There's weird sort of mechanics that I'm just finding out about Wednesday because I don't traditionally play that night. It's that there's tiers of 10 and courts of 5, so you're basically playing half the teams every night. I'm only 2 weeks in, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it makes for a little stagnation. It's a stagnant season when you're stagnant. There you go. When you're playing against the same teams all the time. Does it encourage good dodgeball? I don't know yet. Might just encourage sort of lazy fun dodgeball, which is also good dodgeball in a sense. It's not that finicky playoff dodgeball that's super slow that we see a lot. We saw that at week 1. I don't know why week 1 was so insanely focused on resets. First, I maintain that it's kind of a pyramid. You build up, start as slow as you want, as long as you're sticking around in tier 1, and you're ready to go by the end of the season. That's perfect. Just build. You want to peak at the right time. After the first week, Michael Vick and the Dog Pound is in the lead, followed by the Hurt Feelings, the Mascots, Geeks and Sneaks, Itchy Balls, Alpha Kenny Buddy Up, which I finally got, Girl Scouts, Run Force Run, Straw Hats, and Raging Balls. If I'm allowed to make bold predictions, I won't pick my team. I won't pick my teams generally because that seems like a really douchey thing to do. Even though my team is fun and really good, I think we could have a great chance. I'll go ahead and pick Geeks and Sneaks to win, with a runner-up being Hurt Feelings. I think Michael Vick's game translates amazingly well to the playoffs all the time. From week 1, they were insanely structured. They were playing so well. There was a model for, I won't go ahead and say, it's not boring dodgeball, and it's not overly cautious dodgeball, but it's supremely well structured. There's no insane gun that stands out alone on that team that will just do things alone, for the sake of he can get away with it. Everyone's so equal on that team, that they just play good dodgeball. But of course, Geeks and Sneaks has an insane lineup. They're managing to stay near the top of the board without Shane. Shane won't be on that team until October, and of course, one of my rules: if Shane's on the team, pick it, because he is going to do great things. So yeah, Geeks and Sneaks over Hurt Feelings. If you're unaware who's on those teams, Geeks and Sneaks, as of today, was like Vic, Matt Ho, Vu, Shaner, Carrie, and Leslie, which is fantastic. They're gonna do well. Hurt Feelings was Justin Tew, Kyle, Baron, Rick. It's another fellow who's an awesome player. His name might be Chris, actually. From the CDL, just tall, rippling, great tosses. They've got girls. Oh, they got girls. I don't know who they are though. I just forget. Definitely not Queenie. Paying a visit over to my board right here. Hurt Feelings has got Angie should be on that team generally, but Angie was not there tonight. So yeah, they're a good team. My team on that night is the mascots. We usually wear costumes. The costumes are super fun. Rattel, Deb, the best catching duo living under one roof, I would say, in the VDL. Maybe. Is that true? I'd say so. They're amazing. We've got Billy, we've got Brandon, myself, we've got Joe the Ninja, and Julia. And that rounds out the team. It's a really cool team. I'm looking forward to playing with them. We haven't all been together yet for a night, but when we do get together, it should be fun. Unfortunately, Billy and Brandon are both suffering from sort of arm ailments at the moment. And so they're not throwing super hard, but that's fine because our team isn't really throwing at the moment. We're just dicking around and having a blast. Neil and Leo came out tonight and did an absolute amazing job. They're out of this world. They're so unreal. They can just sort of play at 50% and still just do the most amazing things out on court. So cool. So cool to watch. That's Wednesday. Let's move on to Thursday. Sorry, rest of Wednesday. I'm going to run through this. Otherwise, I'm going to be pushing 45 minutes an hour, and I don't want to take too long. Again, I play Thursday as well. So many good teams. Team Rocky. Who are these guys? I don't know who Team Rocky is, but currently they are the head of Thursday night, followed closely by Bunderwang, a.k.a. Bonowang, Disney's Recess, The Spartans, Crucial Cat, Short and Sexy, Psych, Smash Brothers, Hate It, Comrades, Fried Chicken Smugglers, Hangry Birds, Team Haggard, Unnamed DC, Yumi Soju, Flippin' Balls. So the other teams rounding out Tier 1. It seems like Thursday is absurdly deep, as usual. Which is good. Again, Hate Bit will not be showing our true strength for a long time, only because it's like pulling teeth trying to get everybody out. Apologies to my Thursday team for missing tomorrow night. I'm going to a concert. Yay! Ariel Pink, if you're wondering. I'm going to go ahead and say that Disney's Recess can win this night. I really want them to win. Over the summer, I'm not sure, over the last little while, Nathan has become, in my opinion, the best guy on Recess. Like, none of the guys regressed, none of them got worse, they all probably got better. But Nathan's just gotten so much better. I went to a lot of the drop-ins this season run by Witten. They were fucking awesome. Great place to sort of hone your skills, and you can have fun, but you can also get a really good level of dodgeball out there as well. Really impressed with that. But I was really impressed with Nate. Like, Nate would, whatever team Nate was on was doing insanely well, and it was, it wasn't all him, but it was all him. Just catching, throwing like a monster. He's put on some serious muscle. He's looking thick. And, Nathan Ing, can't say enough about him. Of course, Stella and Yams. Aside from Carolyn and Tiana, the best girl duo in the VDL. Just, so intimidating. The best catchers, best throwers. Justin, the other Travis, Rob, and Matt Hung, round out that team. Just always impressive. They're going to do it. I think this is their last season together as recess anyway. So look for them to be absolutely unreal. The Spartans, always good. Look for them to have the best record along with recess in the regular season. I would put money on that. Because the Spartans, more than any other team, benefit from having a smaller gym, and it's almost unfair that when the playoffs come around, we're suddenly playing in gyms that may have 2 feet extra on either side, giving catchers that little bit extra time to respond. It's a wider court, etc., and you're it's the marathon nature as well, where what takes more energy, throwing or catching. Throwing, the Spartans are probably throwing more balls harder than anybody else all day long, so by the end they're going to be a little gassed. You put those two things together and all of a sudden I think it's really catcher favored come playoff time. And if you're throwing all the time, you may suffer a little bit from the bloodlust, the ball lust, so to speak, and you're prone to get a little disorganized. Whereas if you only have to rally every so often, there's less of a chance that your one person is going to throw out of whack. Like if you've got Kennedy, you've got Joey, you got Nick, you got Vase, and Rattel's usually on that team. Rattel is the level head of the Spartans, hands down. When they put Rattel, Deb, and Mon on the team last year, I thought they would finally cure their problems, and there would be enough of a commanding defensive voice to slow them down. But it's really hard. There's just if I could throw that hard, I would play the same way. So I can't blame them at all. They're throwing twice as many balls as the other team every game. One of them is going to be alone for sure, right? And so those small errors will get magnified on a playoff scale, and that leads sniveling little twerps like me to say, hey, the Spartans don't play together come playoff time, and they get caught. And inevitably they get close all the time. They're always there. They're always everybody's favorites, but they just don't make it. This could be their year though. Joey's got more play under his belt, and the better he gets, the more scared everyone should be, because there's just such a the inertia behind his ball. It wants to stay in motion. It wants to carry you right through the brick wall. He throws big. I love it. Psychedelic, as usual, is going to have a good team. I think they have too many guys. They've got like 7 guys, which can be, 5 is a good number. 6 is too many, 7 is too many, because how do you know what lineup to throw out during the playoffs? That makes it tough. 8-Bit, myself, Kevin Vo, Shane, Trung, Tiana, Carolyn, making up most of what 8-Bit used to be. We're missing CT, but never fear. We brought in Matt Ho. Matt Hung would have been good, but we brought in Matt Ho. He'll do fine. We're going to make him make his own t-shirt, perhaps, just so we can fit in with the rest of us. Hopefully everyone stays healthy and around. This is my first season back playing with Carolyn in a season or two, and whenever I don't play with her, I get absurd separation anxiety. If you've never had the privilege of playing with one of VDL's many unreal female players, I suggest trying it out sometime. They're an absolute joy to watch out there. They catch so well. It's unreal. It's out of this world. They play. Their game sense is off the freaking charts, and their throws can be extremely deceptive a lot of times too. Obviously, the top end velocity is a little different still, but goddamn, VDL has a lot of amazing female players. Yeah. Is there anyone else I really want to talk about quickly? Bunderwang. I love Bunderwang just because it brings me back to early dodgeball teams like Bombardment, like Team Yellow Fever, etc. with Chris Chan and Alvin and Dexter and Cheryl and Johnson and I think Joe was on the team at that time, and it was just it was so much fun. It was pure unadulterated joy out there, except when they would go psycho, which happened. But hey, they were young. They're older now. They're wiser. They're more mature. They're still great players. And I almost have to give Chris Chan shout out whenever I talk about the naming of this podcast as, Crosscourt is the nickname I've given him. Because he crosscourts so damn well. And crosscourt, the common technique you see used in dodgeball all the time. Hit somebody when they don't see it from the other side of the court. It's a crosscourt. You hear me screaming it out like a fucking vulture, or some sort of modern pterodactyl, like a Broadway interpretation of a pterodactyl every week. And hey, I'm gonna keep doing it because it gets people's attention. That's Thursday. Quick tier 2. Who's gonna win tier 2? Let's say I'd say Mango Mango. Mango Mango will win tier 2 if they don't get bumped up, because they're all awesome players. They're really young, but there's a lot of sick skill on that team. I remember from last season, or the Ballbusters alternatively. But yeah, them. Fuck it. That's enough of those fun predictions for now. My teams are going to be a blast. I'm really looking forward to playing on them all season long. I'm going to go ahead and talk about rules now, about the prospective rules that didn't actually make it into change in time for the season. VDL has a really nice rules committee. I love the way it's set up and structured at the moment. It encourages talk from a lot of different viewpoints. Brought a lot of people together, a lot of people I really, really, really respect in terms of dodgeball insight, including Cooper, including Trung, most especially. And so the rules are in good hands. None of the changes. Kyle as well. I also love Kyle. We got Buns as well. Julia, shout out to everybody else on the rules team that I'm a part of, because we're going to make the rules better and ensure that VDL does not have some insane foot in the crease rule. I love the NHL. I love the Buffalo Sabres versus the Dallas Stars when Brett Hull scored that goal and won the Stanley Cup, and did not win the Stanley Cup for Dallas, but he kind of did. So we are overseers in that sense. I'll bring up 3 real quickly. First one was the 8-foot rule. It's actually the 6-foot rule, if you didn't know. It's just the biggest problem with that is implementation. At most gyms we play at, there is a very easy to delineate 8-foot line. And so even though we wish it was at 6 feet, in practical terms, it turns to be 8 feet. Playoffs come around, and all of a sudden, playoffs when resets are most frequent, the reset line is lowest. I call it the reset line. It's actually a dead ball line, but there'd be a ton of balls flying right at 6 feet. And if you're a bigger guy, like me, then all of a sudden you're getting way more balls in your head vicinity. But at the same time, it was kiboshed and kept at 6, despite my feelings to the contrary, that it should be 8. Because, a reset's a reset, and it's not really a head throw. You can tell the difference between sort of malicious headshots and resets, by and large, with skill-controlled throws. And, just because there's not a 6-foot line doesn't mean we should automatically just sort of bump it up to 8, because that's, in a way, it's saying, high throws and resets are okay. It's sort of a secondary okaying of resets, even further than we already okay resets. Because I think in an ideal world, people wouldn't reset, or they would reset as little as possible, but that doesn't always happen. When the game's fast, you'll do anything, I guess, to slow it down, and that's the trend of dodgeball at the moment, is that the game is getting as slow as possible, and it's only going to get slower. So my usual outlook whenever I'm looking over rules is, how is this going to make the game faster? If it can, fantastic. If it's just going to overcomplicate things or encourage slower play, it's something to really be avoided at this moment. Maybe not necessarily from a gameplay standpoint. It could make sense for gameplay, but if we slow down tier 1 any further, we're going to start running out of time at gyms. And as it is, we're already getting a lot of nights where we don't get big ass games in, and even though they're not absolutely crucial, I know they're really fun, and they're a good sort of community element to the VDL bringing everybody together for the end of the night. Blow off a little steam. It gives some, rando player the chance to be an absolute hero in front of the whole gym, and I think that's pretty slick. My opinion there. That was the 8-foot rule. There was sort of an obscure rule for coming back in, that if you touched the ball at all while you were coming in, you would be eliminated, even if it wasn't sort of a pick up and grab. If you're caught back in, you're running to the wall. As it is right now, if you pick up a ball, you're out. This one would be if you sort of glanced or grazed the ball at all, you would be out. Obviously, that just makes it really hard to distinguish, and we didn't put it through. Obviously not. We discussed it and then sort of threw it out because it was kind of crazy. There's still a lot of good feelings and good arguments for that rule, in terms of making things as black and white as possible. My feeling, though, it's asking a lot from refs. We already ask a lot from these peer refs that step up and do the games for us. Adding another thing on like that could just be ridiculously tedious. I think it might piss players off too, right? The rules are there to promote good dodgeball, not just to be cantankerous old assholes, because we can be. So hey, anyways, catching with a dead ball is something that I think actually made it through, in the sense that before you could be holding a dead ball and make like a one-handed catch, and as long as the ball didn't hit your dead ball, it wouldn't count as blocking with a dead ball, and so you wouldn't be out. But now, any catch at all while holding a dead ball, despite it being really cool, results in you being out. And that's the way I think it should be. It's one of the tougher calls to make currently is blocking with a dead ball, because the way things are set up, it'll be like, okay, it was dead the second after he blocked that ball, that kind of thing. And so sort of discouraging the holding on of balls is really, really, really good idea in my opinion. That'll end it for the rules. Just because if I'm only really arguing against myself, I seem like a genius. And I'd rather have the other side. Or maybe some meteor rule. If you have a crazy rule change, send it in to me. Let me know. I want to hear it. I'll talk about it. I'll try to think it through, why it would work, why it wouldn't work, why it would make the game fun. I like hearing your ideas a lot. Especially because I haven't heard any yet. But that's not your fault. It's 4 a.m. currently. So, we're going to do a quick session of Ask Crosscourt, with a question entirely made up by me, Travis. So Travis will ask Crosscourt, which is fitting. I should get to ask the first fucking question, man. It's my show. So, is this going to be a season of dodging, catching, or throwing? If you've been around for a long time, you would know that it started off as just a dodging league. People would dodge. It's in the name of the sport. It makes sense that you should want to try at least to dodge balls. It was quickly found out by the better teams, ACMY, Hate Sauce, etc., that dodging was pretty inefficient. It's hard to do. The ball tends to go back to the other side. You kind of get put out of position. Why not just catch the ball? If you get good at it, you're going to be bringing people in. You're going to be eliminating them. You probably save a little bit of energy. And so it's sort of, dodging got pushed out of the equation entirely, and it became this weird arms race between catching and throwing. And, it would be hard to say which one was really ruling the roost at the top tiers of play. I think throwing's so pervasive now that it's hard. No one's going to come up and say, like, man, their throwing was just absolutely unreal. I think catching and defensive play is going to be noticed most. Like, that's where you can, I think, by and large, unless you're a team of, college-level baseball players like the Spartans, you're going to have a tough time distinguishing yourself with throws, because I think that high 50s to mid 60s where some people are residing in throwing, like that's the usual speed you're gonna see from dudes in tier 1 is mid 50s, high 60s, occasionally if it's an absolute bomb. That's where that lives. And so unless you're bringing like 4 guys in the mid 60s, which I've seen before, that was a dirty team. I forget who it was. You're not really going to surprise anyone, so there's room for that sort of defensive catching, play together strategy. So it's going to be a season of catching. I think, that being said, if the Spartans go out and win Thursday nights, I will say it can certainly be a season of throwing. I'll just go back retroactively say in that instance, season of throwing. So we're quickly approaching the hour mark. That came up fast. It's surprising how easy these things can sort of get bloated. I'll try to keep it this short generally. I can't promise that. As soon as we get guests on, we're just going to be talking about random things. I think I've done a pretty good job tonight of not getting off on ridiculous tangents. I think I'm going to go allow myself to get off on a tangent just to finish things off right now. What about, though? What about am I going to get on a tangent of... Well, I watched Survivor tonight. Survivor was fantastic. To this day, I'm not necessarily going to say it's the best reality TV show, but it's certainly the most comforting reality TV show for me. Something about knowing people are on an island, hopefully starving, hopefully cold, hopefully wet, maybe even scared. That makes me feel better about my decisions to be where I am at the moment. I would have a blast going on the show. I would probably end up hurt and carted out by the medical team, but hey, it'd be part of the experience. Is there any good Twitter trends at the moment to talk about aside from Julian Assange? No, not really. But we're not going to turn this into the WikiLeaks podcast. This is still the Dodgeball podcast. So as we approach the hour, I want to thank anyone that's listened this far. The code word is banana. If I ever ask you for a code word, just go ahead and say banana. I'll write that down. Code word, banana. Only as sort of a reward for listening this long. You guys have probably been awesome. My initial plans are to upload this to YouTube with a picture. After some pretty hefty compression, I will have to compress this file, as I think it's going to be super huge, super humongous big, Brizgalov would say. And I'll be back next week. I'll try to have a guest on that brings up some interesting audio issues. I'll probably just do a little update on how teams did this week, maybe further refine my thoughts on predictions, see how I'm looking so far, and then finally I will talk about an issue in Dodgeball. I don't know what it's going to be. If you have anything you really want to talk about, an aspect of the game, that's something we can look into. That's something I can look into. I can look into a lot of things. Anyways, as we come up on this 58-minute mark, I thank you. It's been lots of fun. I've learned some things about Dodgeball just by talking about it. It's a good outlet for my thoughts. So thank you. I'll see you next week. This is the end of Crosscourt episode 1. Take care.
broken into pieces when he sang to me. I can see. Call my name, remember what you mean to me. Let me be him, be him, be him. Oh, let me be him. Oh, let me be him. My soul, my love is running away with me, and I won't leave it all you. Let me be. My soul, my love is running away with me, and I won't leave it all you. Let me be. My soul, my love is running away with me, and I won't leave it all to you. All this empty is gonna be the death of me. Dying every evening without cease, how can you be? With all this empty, you really spoils me. Rotten without reason, without sense, where would you be? Started with your trees, you forgot to plant a tree. All this destiny is gonna be the